Mark Library Software here with a group of keeners to learn about the L4U online training, or actually more specifically, L4U on the web. That used to be called FIM, now it's just called Library Management. This is where you all folks can cheer.
Hey!
Thank you. What here? Actually, a delayed reaction. Okay, well, it is an hour later in Newfoundland. So, all that being said, let me just show you what most of you already know, what you do on a day-to-day basis. This you do on a day-to-day basis. For some of you folks that used in the past, it's different, but these are the same stuff you just did every day. You catalog books, get ready for the shelf, then a thing called posting them, which is items out of that holding tank known as acquisitions, and move electronically to the library file, which is what else you think is on your shelf. You do that on a regular basis. You did that in Elite. Same, just slightly different screens, but the same processes. You talked about, well, circulation, but before we talk about circulation, we have to talk about class lists. And we all have to talk about, if you're new to L4U, you all are, how do I enter my patrons, and what's the thing about homerooms? What are these whole homeroom concept? We'll talk about those, where to enter the homerooms in L4U on the web, because it's a slightly different spot. And we'll talk about the ins and outs of circulation, the soul and heart of any library. And of course, you can't forget about your patrons. If we have time, we'll talk about the online public access catalog. It used to be called TAC. It's not the OPAC, keeping in line with industry standards nomenclature. So OPAC, Online Public Access Catalog. But you folks are all paid the big dollars. Laugh here. Who are there right up front to help patrons find these items. That's what you do. So, what is it in the past? Well, let me just jump to there. Pardon me for jumping around here, but this is what L4U used to look like. We called this the utility. Some people called it Enterprise, some people called it Elite. And you asked for it down the left-hand side to give you quick access to everything you did in L4U. Well, we modeled it to look the same way. Let me just get down to here. Sorry, I'm logged in. This is a typical librarian in September. If you're male, then you can just play and put your own picture in there. But this is after you log in. I'm going to just log out here, folks. And I think some of you are already, and of course, when I log out, I always session. But you first point your browser at the L4U server, where you are, whether you're in Souk or whether you're in Edmonton Catholic, you have a login screen. So you click on here, click login, and you enter your login credentials, whatever they may be, so supplied to you by your IT department or whoever it may be, and you click login. So there's many buttons in here because this fictitious school board, as high school, they actually have textbooks and assets and a whole bunch of other stuff in here, and they've turned on reviews because they trust their fellow staff members to do intelligent reviews, et cetera, et cetera. And L4U does do book reviews, but that's beyond the scope of what we're talking about. The two areas that you want to concern yourself, and this is the two areas. There's settings. Back to this one in a sec, but more or less this is where you create your home room, set your global, your location due date when you don't want any materials to circulate past the day, your control files in there, setting your circulation period for your items, preferences, circulation sounds, turning image on and off, all hiding away inside the image settings. This is where it takes place. That's where we spend most of our time today. So when you click Library Management, you come to this spot, and I almost think this is like, well, the new dashboard that I had down the left-hand side in the old programs. These are the various buttons that you have available at your Library Management homepage. And along the top part of the screen, which we call the top navigation, you have the same buttons up here. Oh, there's image overdue letters. So this top navigation links here takes you to any part of the L4U program with one click. We have icons in here because of you, in this case, we're at Library Management homepage. So this comes up. Where do we want to go next? Folks, do we want to talk about cataloging or do we want to talk about circulating? and all associated modules with circulation.
That's at the beginning with circulation.
Okay, so circulation, heart and soul of it? Yep. Circulation is the start of the heart and soul program. But before we do circulation, you know the catch here, you have to have clients. And I was talking to a lady this morning, first time in L4U, no clients, just all sorts of stuff that came over from Fall Ed, where to start. So this brings us up. Let me just click on client management here. So when you are in client management, you'll have a list of clients that are in here, and all the windows inside of L4U have common interface elements because this is based on a web page. It doesn't, if you're in acquisitions or library file, you'll have the total of items that are visible. We have 26 patrons in this school, or my location that is, and you can see records per page over here. You can search by various fields. So those doing here are common to all the programs. Clear all actions means if you have some items to check off, it'll take those check boxes off that, and select all clients will select all the items currently visible on that page. If you've used L4U in the past, you'll notice all your common tasks that you can do with things on the screen here are all now grouped on the sidebar. So we've got add patrons. You can set that allows you to narrow your selection down just to the currently highlighted items. If you're working with this one or two clients, you want to see the big picture again, you would click View All. That's this one right here. Global changes. We'll talk about that if we have time. But I will touch bases on that a bit later, because if you're actually at a school and you're moving patrons from grade 12 out before you get the class refresh, you're going to have to really change those grade 12s to a homeroom called withdrawn or gone. And that global changes is where you do that. Let's talk about that a bit later, and these other ones we'll talk about in just a sec. But when you get to this spot, if you have a class refresh is being done by your IT department, you will, it depends, 62 in Edmonton Catholic probably in a similar situation where you've got a big dump of patrons coming in and you end up with old patrons and new patrons. A general tip, the old patron codes, those old patron codes can be deleted, those patrons associated with them. If you know beyond a shadow of a doubt that the school district is now going with maybe like the Alberta Ed number or the BC ESIS number, or my BC numbers. So in other words, the authority for the client codes is upstream from you. Okay? So what does it mean? Well, you'll have a refresh to occur so before you can start circulating. But I mentioned before, if you're in a K-12 school, the grade 12s have to be globally changed out of this homeroom to another homeroom. We'll talk about homerooms in just a sec. And that's where global changes comes in. But in a typical school, in fact, in a perfect school district, and they're out there, sometimes you wonder at the beginning of the school year if you'll ever get to that spot, nightly refreshes occur. So as far as your task is concerned with new patrons, is those new patrons come in nightly updates. Some have hourly updates as well, so the patrons just automatically appear inside client management. They're not in a perfect world. How are those patrons going to be entered into view? Some schools will get an email from the secretary saying, well, hello, Monica, this is a new patron. This is the Ed number, et cetera, and then they would get the first name and last name and so on. You would hand enter them into the system. In School District 62 situation, the refresh already occurred, so now they're using whatever identification code that the student information system is using at the board office. Well, schools have old patrons in there. In other words, patrons that start with a C or something along those lines. Well, what do you do with those old ones? What we do is delete all the old patron codes associated with them. You won't be able to delete any patrons that have items out associated with those client codes. They'll still be sticking around. So you will probably end up with, heaven forbid, 2 marked forces. So you have the old marked force code, a couple items out, and a new one, provided you're still at your school. Now, if you're a K-7 or something along the lines, elementary or middle school, that patron may well ended up going to another school. So in other words, you have that patron still, the old client code still in your school. You can still see them. And if it comes out, then you have to deal with them, find out where they've gone. So you'll have to reach out to whoever manages that, the student information system, with mark for gone. So if a page does move to another school with items, using the new client codes, those items really belong to your school. So those items have to come back to your school to be stated and then taken off that student that's moved to another school. Here's the idea of how do you handle patrons in a manually environment or where it's actually updated hourly or nightly. Does that make sense?
Yes, is somebody doing that job here at Edmonton Catholic?
Well, the gentleman that you have to reach out to, I think, was, I think it's Rod Morris, and I think what he's doing, and of course, he's working with our team to get that straightened out. The Reader's Digest answer on that is if you're currently using your client codes, they're saying carry on using those. If you're using the Alberta Ed number, then you're fine. Go carry on what you did last year. That leaves a lot of questions unanswered in my mind, so they'd have to reach out to your, I think it ought to be the one you would want to contact. So if you get your L4U now, and it's the same clients as last year, methinks that's how it's going to be going forward. But if you're a middle school, what about the grade 7s or grade 8s that have moved on? Maybe Mark, Jane, little is going to be still in there. So you'd have to locate those
just
students.
Delete them?
Well, the old client codes, you can, because they're in your school. And you know, and they're moved on. Thank you very much. God bless. Go on. They items out. If you try and delete them, they won't delete. So you've got Johnny there with 2 items out. Now you have to reach out to your whoever it would be at your office. So how do you locate those guys?
You could just put lost and carry on.
Yeah.
Yeah. So someone else mentioned that last week's webinar. Yeah, we just mark them as lost. But what happens in that situation is you have to mark them. Well, if you mark them lost, it'll mark the patron that this patron now owes monies on this one, and that patron's hard to delete at that point. What I would do is select the item in that lost.
Right.
Because that patron's no longer in your school for you to hunt down and try and locate lost money or replacement or however you want to replace. So circulate back in first, and then they'll deal with it by marking lost in the library file.
Yeah. Just a question about the client code. All of my codes were changed to have the school code 8029 at the end. Do I have to manually change every student? Like they have a number that starts with C, and then have to add 8029 to the end of everybody to identify them as belonging to my school.
So in the old L4U Elite and Edmonton Catholic, a lot of other schools, you just use the L4U sign number. But when your collection was integrated into the L4U, primarily the Edmonton Catholic L4U server, we had identified those client codes by either appending the school code or prepending it. Either way, it doesn't matter. It just makes it unique. So going forward, what I would do is get the ed number for patrons when you add them. That if a refresh happens and they're using the Alberta Ed number or whatever the student information system is using, those pages will get automatically updated. If you do and a refresh happens, then end up with what it is, C1234, 8214, and the one with the Alberta Ed number, then you got more juggling to do. So the perfect way of doing this would be whatever the student information system is using with a client ID. And when you're entering those students, the system use that number.
And do you put on the library card?
Well, in other words, when you go to print the library card, or however you do it, a circ desk or whatever, we'll talk about a bit later, the barcode prints out the board to print out with whatever number is in L4U. So Alberta Ed number 123456, then the barcode will read 1234546.
Was
Your library.
we were just using manual cards with labels and entering them in.
So you'll take it when we get to circulation. You may want to continue that way, but as it goes on, more and more people are not using the old library card unless it's used for some type of security ID, and they're actually entering the client's name search window, find them that way, and then they don't have to print out the labels or printing out an 8.5 by 11 sheet for each home room with all the client codes on there and sorted by their name. We'll talk when we get to that one at this point. But as a takeaway from this, find out what they're doing from your IT department or your student support services, the best way of handling this. But as a patrons, I will use whatever the student information systems to be exporting as far as the client code is concerned, because future updates makes it a lot easier.
Okay.
When you're in patrons, if you click, it's a standard screen. In fact, all the screens in L4U on the web are modeled after the way L4U Elite / Enterprise looks. So when you open any window inside of L4U on the web, you have this top navigation toolbar along the top here, and you can use these links to quickly jump to any part of this record, whether it's item record on the shelf. In this case, we're looking at a patron. So if you wanted to quickly go to the patron's items out, you click that link, boom, you're right down there with one click. One click. And to get back to the top of the page, you click either the link here, and in this case, it even tells you to return to the top of the page. So you can quickly navigate around. If you're going to find a book cover, you drop to the bottom of the page, you get the book cover, you click to the top of the page with 1-2 clicks, and you're there. Back to the client file here. L4U, for you people that are new to L4U, what you need is you need client code, check. You need first name, check. And you need the last name, check. And this funky thing called home rooms right here. And if you click here and you see, only have 9 in Division 17, that's a little thin. So you need those 4 items in there. So you may want, as a beginning task, take a look at your homeroom list and inside of L4U, which we'll do now in just a sec, and make sure they're up to date and make sense. So we start entering patrons, and quite often they're standing right in front of you. That way you don't have to shuffle around in here and try and find which homeroom they're in. As far as entering patrons concerned, those 4 bits of information, when you get that, you can click save. You're to go. You can now start circulating materials for those patrons.
Did that.
Yep, things you may want to put in there, grade level, down farther you've got in here, parent's name, and if you actually are sending notifications out by email to the parent or student, depending on your age groups, you would put it in here, this spot right here where it says email address.
Yeah.
Add homerooms in. Could you go through that?
I'll take that. So we should have done some home management before we got to this spot. So we'll just click cancel. We'll return back to the client management screen. Home piece of gate to get to. Top of the screen, there's a green admin button. We're now in business settings. We've come over from Enterprise, and they no longer have the admin utility. This is where all the important stuff is being moved to. The home rooms through the down menus, or if the button's looking at you right in the face, you just click home rooms. Or near the home rooms for your high school. In this case, Studebaker Smith High School. Add room, then 1, 2, 3. Click to homeroom code. That's it.
Okay.
You can't modify patrons or clients here. All that's done in client management. This is where we create the homerooms. And of course, people can print the list here if you want to. But you don't have any clients. That's it.
Homerooms, the homerooms will be added from the IT department, right, for that school, and you just need to bring it into this program?
Once on what homerooms you're using. In Edmonton Catholic, we usually say if you're entering homerooms, use your school code as a prefix. So 8214, 1429, and then whatever you want it to be. GR9, GR10.
The Sioux School District use? Do they bring the information over?
No.
If a refresh was occurring.
Yeah.
Oh, room codes would do at Souk. I would use your 3-digit school code, and I have them right here. Let's take a look. So, in other words, Wealthy, Millstream. Where's Millstream? Oh, there's Edward Moon was EWEDU. Ruth King, RUT. Marie was DUN. So I'd put DUN and whatever code you want it to be, because the homeroom codes have to be unique, and that's keeping in line what we did when we did the conversion. Listen, Steve may know about this, and we're just trying to be consistent. One thing we did, so it made it easier to tell the difference between a homeroom code and a client code. So in other words, with Dunsmuir, we do DUN with an underscore.
And
then you would say, oh, you guys already have grade 9, so I'll just put grade 8, and I'll just fix that one to be grade 8. Done. 2, 3, save. Room. Now you can start entering patrons. Where were we before? Anybody know? How do we? I get back to client management.
Home.
That home will take us to the management home.
Live
so if anybody's used his profile.
Wow.
So one button to get to admin, but we can figure out where you would want to go from that spot, whether you go to textbooks, assets, or something else. So you have to go up the rabbit. You have to go up out of the hole, my profile, I call that the L4U roundabout, and then back down to library management. Library management is sort of like the traffic circle, I think they call it in Canada. We call them roundabouts where we're visiting. Wait. So it's management. Now to add more patrons.
Okay.
What I've done to keep myself straight when I'm entering the homerooms is once the homeroom list done, print out a list of homerooms from that previous screen, have handy as you're entering patrons. If you're actually entering patrons by hand, sometimes that's a daunting task, because I've talked to people who've had up to, one lady I was talking to yesterday, she had 100 kids she was shuffling around.
Yeah.
Old L4U Elite days from 10 years ago. Yeah. 10 years, 15 years ago, it was a lot of globally changing. So in other words, if you're trying to move patrons around, what you can do is look for a homeroom in here by homeroom code, and I'm going to say I'm looking for all my grade 10s, SH. See, it's right there, homeroom, and search for them, and then have all patrons there, and then I can move them however I want to do that by globally changing them. This is very handy to being in the school year. You on screen, select all clients, check, review them, and do a global change over here on the right-hand side. And L4U will ask you, do you want to change these 10 items? Sure, or 8 in this case. And this may be familiar to some of you in the past because somebody used to leave. But if this is new to you, take a deep breath and screen. In other words, these 8 patrons, I need to change something with them. A variety of different things. The idea behind global change is it makes one change to multiple items at once, which is a great time saver if you're actually changing the maximum number of items they can have, or change their patron override, or move them entirely to a different home room. So you go down here, we want to change homeroom code, click in here, and I know my new one is, I think it was DN whatever it would be. I think it was DUN, wasn't it? DUN
underscore grade 8.
GR8?
Yeah.
And then now I can actually update them. And now they've moved to homeroom. Instead of one, change, next, opening, click, change. So just be careful when you do global changes. Here, global change with care. Question on the floor? Okay, so circulation. Well, circulation, the heart and soul of any library. If you open circulation, they may have the first time, it may just look like this. It was modeled after old L4U Elite screen, and then it changed from there. There's so much more than this compared to the old Enterprise and Search screens. So you do have your dashboard along the right-hand side, which allows you to specify between in only, out only, and so on. And you've got your enter barcode here, and then you can scan the patron's code or scan the item. But the first thing you want to do if you're doing outbound circulation, that does happen to be in a school you're especially handling with textbooks and so on, is you need to get the client on screen first. Like here in the circulation toolbar, search. Bring up the search screen. So now you have the ability to search by name right in here. So any portion of the first name or any portion of the last name would be right in here, and you just type away portion. So if I want to pick on somebody, I want to pick on James. So last name Scanlon. So I'll just click that, hit the enter key, and wow, quite a change in the old gray prison color scheme. So what's happened here, you can see right away is, first of all, L4U alerts the user, whoever it is, you or a search clerk, that has 4 items overdue. So you want to miss this. That you acknowledge the fact that James has got 4 items overdue. If it's a student, then you could say, no, James, you can't circulate anymore. Go bring them back. But if this is a fellow staff member, then what you want to do, well, we also have a message. Jim goes, yeah, whatever. Okay, he'll get to us, and so on and so forth. Now we're at the point you can circulate. See, what we did in this case here, like worst case scenario, teacher, bunch of items overdue, and in this case, he owes us some money, so all these dialog boxes come up first to alert the search clerk that these things are amiss, and you'll have to do something with them first before we can actually start circulating. Now, back the bus up here and say, this is not a teacher, it's a student, then you start dealing with these various types. You want to still do the same thing with a teacher. You'll be doing it with a different level of finesse.
Yeah.
Sneed and the Wolf, where is this? So if you want, you can click for each item, you click the information button here, and if it had a book cover, the book cover would show. Great. In other words, maybe he has it in his bag. No, he doesn't have Sneaky Pete and the Wolf, but he does have the From Mixed Up Files of Mrs. Basil E. Frankweiler. So with one click, we do the item. Most librarians say you have to have the item in hand first before we can renew it. So you can click and renew with one click. So now due December 12, 2017. With this one, James, we click information. Here it is there. Does that look like item in your locker? Yes, it is. You can go get it. And it's various other stuff in here. You can print this in a list you see on screen. One of the things the old L4U admin utility would do is it would get a little dialog box and start up saying, when you look at page with overdue items, it says, hey, do you want to print this list? Well, very simple. All you have to do is print, and you get a list of items right on screen, exactly how it looked on that previous window. So you can one page, you can give it to the patron. That's straightforward. So pick first, and I'm going to pick on, I think we have Greg in here too. Let me take a look, see if we have Greg. You clear the screen, you do the next patron. Is everything up here? Greg, items overdue. Oh dear, okay, yep. And I'll deal with Greg.
Question.
So forth.
Can you email the parent a screenshot of the screen, like right you have to use like Snip or something and then send it to them?
Option B. Screenshot, then, yeah, perfect.
But now
Inside of
might
L4U.
be, but all of the parent might be in the system, so you could just bring it up and add it to there.
So, usually with the younger patrons, you usually want the parent mail and client records. So when you do an overdue run, pardon me, right up here, there's a little right up here called overdue letters, we can then either mail it just a letter to that patron and go to the parent. It would be a little nice looking email with graphics, and so on, not just plain text, although you can send that one too, but most emails going out nowadays are a little more graphically rich, and you would more or less see what you see in the overdue run going to the parent as an email.
And that again?
All browsers, all browsers are slightly different, but all browsers allow you to print, and usually something along the lines of Control key with the P. For control, you're on a Mac, it's, P, or, and I keep moving around. I think it's up here now. It's up here for you Chrome users. And Chrome we do support, by the by. Internet Explorer is the old version. It's not well supported. We want to go to edge of using. If you're using Windows 10, there's a print command right there, folks.
Yeah.
So eventually Greg wanders off, and you're on your own device. You click the clear button. It doesn't not necessary. But what happens when it comes time to declare the book drop? I don't know. What to do when you're doing inbound circulations is just scan the barcode. That's all you really need to do. So I've got one right here. So my book drop is very quiet, so I just scan that item. And search, just help search. You have to have a patron first.
And you can enter the patron by the name?
Oh, in other words, if you want, if the client actually has a library card or using a 3-ring binder of the circ does, or they actually know their client code, because some people are real keeners, they say, oh yeah, my code is like that. You can it right in the spot here. So this one, most people, it depends. You can't say most people, but the barcode of the item and the patron both go in the same spot. I was using this to search because I couldn't remember Jim's client code.
Oh.
Yep. There you go. There you go. There's Wendy. You can think to her. Got something overdue, so August 23rd. Oh, that's in my handbag. Away we go. So, outbound is a piece of cake. What I've been doing in this spot here is this option here, auto. First saw that, I said, wow, that's pretty slick. You just don't really have to do anything. It's all automatic. But what it's doing is L4U just takes a look at the stat of the item you're scanning and saying it is in, it must be going out. And if this is out, it must be coming in. That's how it works. People, that's been L4U for a while. Yeah, auto. When you auto mode, L4U looks at the status of the item you're scanning. Like in other words, dog at the door. If I scan that barcode right now, step out, it changes, so it's incoming. The status is in, it will lead it out to whoever is on the screen. It doesn't just
know whether
whether or not Wendy.
Okay.
Not to worry about it. Because most people will go to in only or only. It is a book drop, and the book drop quite often consists of everything from materials that are actually should be shelved because we drop them in there, or actually items that are truly out and they're coming in, and then Mars bars, wrappers, and everything else ends up in there. Those people will go to in only to capture those items that should be shelved. Tip.
To the ones that are already in?
Well, yeah. So in other words, if an item's here, we go in only. So in other words, I'm clear. I mean, just for the screen here, it makes more sense. Here I am, clearing the book drop. You're sitting in the book drop. So I'll this item should be on the shelf. The person just didn't put it on the SIM card. So I found that one. It's ready, so it's saying I can't circulate to anybody. So it's just put it on the shelving box.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah. So you get the warning. Yeah. And there. Now, if the item truly was out, it would circulate, and you still put it on the book drop. Sometimes that item, you go, oh, I've been waiting for this thing for months to come back, and you can deal with it appropriately. Yep. How this handy. Line up of kids. Sometimes you have kids at the end of the class. There's 10 kids sitting there, and they could be swapping materials. I mean, the lineup. In other words, your class comes in, they don't drop the items down on the desk. Some will tag to the desk and continue using them, and then they come up to circulate some new stuff, and kids can swap materials in the lineup. When you're out only, L4U catch that. So the item that you're scanning to Joe or little Johnny has to have a status of in. If it's out to somebody else, like maybe you just gave it to Susie, and Susie's now got this item, and she's got two other stuff that she wants to circulate up with the top one is the money. L4U capture that. It will say this item's already currently out. You want to circulate out to Susie. You say, sure. L4U, when you're in auto mode, a lot of people like using that, but it's really important. You're not a machine. Read the screen. Pay attention to what's going on the screen. If you use different circulation sounds for incoming and outgoing, it'll be an extra level of an extra check. So you make sure that you're not circulating stuff to Johnny when it should be going to Susie and vice versa. Book drop. Out, long line, patrons that swap stuff around, or you can just stay in auto. That's the digest version of circulation.
And the sounds that correspond with in and out, are they automatically on?
I like that sound that just happened. Did someone step on a duck?
I don't know. Some dog.
I take that dog to the vet right now. It sounded like a duck. So, circulation sounds, what you have for incoming and outgoing.
Yes.
Set once again in this area here. We go to location preferences because some people come over from L4U. They're going, hey, where'd my global preferences go? Hey, where's my location? I got to turn inventory off. Things like that. It's all done in here.
Okay.
But that's circulation. In, out, stuff goes in, stuff goes out. Where does keep track of all these items out? Well, I want a list of the items that are currently out and look at them in detail. Where you need to go is this right here. Right there. Like that. Of all the items currently out. And you can search for by specific homeroom. And here, go up here, and I'm just looking for homeroom 9, whatever. You can take in here. This item was taken on. Oh, Jim, look at that! It was taken on 2009. When that Jim had librarian. It's been overdue for 8 years. That should be taken off the book. You can always open up the record and find out when it was taken and various other bits of information. How many times it's circulated, total number of these out, et cetera, all in here. You suddenly were circulating a whole bunch of items 2 weeks before Christmas, and you notice that they're now all due on Christmas Day. Is it a geek? Well, not really. However, they show up in overdue reports, and they go to the teacher, they go to the parent, and they said, yeah, little Johnny had returned these items on Christmas Day. Kind of looks kind of goofy. You can go in here, select the items you want to change, and globally change to items to a new due date. Okay. For instance, I can go in and say they were taken on 2009. Let's just fix all these ones. I'll say that one, that one, that one, that one. I'll just say, Jim, don't worry about he's a bad dog. He owes us money, so I'll let that one renew, and that one renew, and that one renew, and that one renew. So it actually go into here, select the items you want to change, I click on them, and click Global Change, and L4U says, what do you want to do? Highlight it? Sure. The new date is September, I'll just make it a happy date, the 29th. And the items that are overdue, I'll mark not overdue, and it just reads line by line to the screen. And what I'm doing is now changing the overdue items, the due dates for these items. And this from somewhere in 2009, like I say, it could have been Christmas, and then a date in January was appropriate. Oh. Without not coming back on time, we have something called overdue runs. And there's a lot of different reports in here, but you run overdue reports once a week, once a month, semester, whatever. But where it's done is right here. I clicked on reports, check. Left, here's item-centric reports. We got an items overdue report right here. And we also have a list of items. That's everything that's overdue and not overdue. So sometimes a teacher will come to me and says, what's the list of all the items out for my homeroom? This you go. But I'm going to pay overdue report because they look practically the same as far as the screens are concerned. So actually an overdue report, click it. And you basically, once again, click your way to happiness. Doing one on the entire school, specific homeroom, maybe Mr. Gosby's grade 9 class. Click and he would specify what code he has or the name. Doesn't matter. But it's just, the school's so quiet, I don't have many items, I'll stick it. I'll remain it till I'll report on all items. You can pick up patron, specific bowl. And the options in here, everybody's used L4U for a while and are dealing with textbooks. You will put textbooks in a hidden department so they don't show up in OPAC searches and clutter up the search screen. So if you complete run of even items like textbooks, you keep this checked. If you don't, then check it. Because we're going to worry about textbooks in another overdue run. Arena location. Here you have 4 extra options here. So in addition to the normal things you would see on an overdue report, whether it's from a public library or an L4U, you've got the client name, and you've got the item name and barcode and the actual local culprit. But you may want to actually say, as edited incentive, a replacement value on there. It ends up in the patron's hands, or as you can see here, you can email the report as well. So if it ends up in the parent's hand, this report will show that these items have a dollar value associated with them. In this case, we're per copy. So that's why the last option down here, print each homeroom on a separate page is highlighted so that when I do a run, it's page break whenever the homeroom code changes. Now we just click Generate Report. That's it. And there's still some items up there that are due 2,000 days ago. Embarrassing. But right now, if I were to print this, folks, it would only print this one page. If you want to print all the pages and page breaks, this whole pages you must click. As you print, it will do page breaks. So it's graded would be on one page, it still be on the top of the next page.
Is that date entered as a homeroom?
Yes.
Okay.
That's important to get the come straight when you're, entering patrons. I mean, you can shuffle patrons around from homeroom to home. It happens quite a bit at the beginning of the school year. But you'll keep track of that, and then you get these reports.
Mm-hmm.
We've looked at it from a circulation point of view. And if there's any other questions, we should just take a look at the cataloging into things. Any other questions on this here? Go back. And once again, we're in the overdue report. If we wanted to go to another part of L4U, folks, all we need to do is click the appropriate button at the top page, and we go to that spot. Sure, in Catholic, Bishop Matouk, he's got a few boxes. Cameron said there's 20 boxes she has to catalog. It's basically on your mark. It's set. Go. Cataloging. So, you folks here have had cataloging experience, like they know about mark records and all the nuances.
Yeah, Veronica.
Experience.
Who's your person there? Was it Pam?
Veronica.
Okay.
Yeah. On 8 of course.
Okay, Veronica. Yeah. Well, Veronica's home number is 1-800-I-catalog and mark. So, Mark, we're not going to spend much time about it because most people that have had the 2 to 4 years of training on mark records, et cetera, could spend much time and helping cure people's insomnia when they go into the details of the variances of mark records. So if I don't need to know mark to actually catalog, however, it does help to maintain some consistency when you're cataloging, and we'd be able to cover all those consistencies and cataloging guidelines. You have Edmund Catholic, some may have actually set up some guidelines. Suk may have actually set up some guidelines in the past as far as cataloging is concerned. Actually have a PDF that one of the fellows out in Switzerland did up that's quite general, but it talks about maintaining cataloging principles, how the local call number is created, subject headings, what subject headings you want to be using. I could email that to you when I send you the summary of the training with the training video link in there as well if you'd like.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And how many using guidelines? 3? Okay, well, you don't need to answer that. So, when you're logging, this point of bibliographic data entry in L4U is acquisitions. It's a holding tank. Only you get to see it, so you can spend as much time as you see here or as you have to log during the day. So if you only get 2 done in there during the day, that's great. You get nice, you get the labels on them correctly, and then you post them to the library file. And that's when patrons can see them and actually circulate them. But here you'll notice that you've got the standard stuff. You can search by title, you can select all items, you can actually add items, subset, and so on. But we have no list. There's no items in here. So click Add. And the first time I saw the screen was years ago, I went, wow. There's a lot of stuff in here. Quick summary. First of all, you do this thing here, so we can ignore that part. That's part of another thing with L4U. But other stuff, some fields are actually filled in. Things down here called control files are filled in. We'll talk about those in just a sec. Down at the bottom of the page, just slightly off the page, you got your cost, replacement value, and the condition all filled in, as well as the status. Most librarians nowadays are cataloging in hand. In other words, they got a box of materials. They catalog as much as possible, but the items are already arrived. What at this point? Well, how many have pre-printed barcodes?
No.
So that was
Yeah, Nika does.
pre-printed. Okay, and Pam, Kim. How about you, Monica? Jane. Oh,
Marilyn's my first name. No.
I had it backwards. My apologies. Something else you print them.
I did for you.
Christy, know yet because she's not.
No, I don't know. I'm in the Sioux School District, so
Yeah.
whatever Maryland, I think it would be the same as Maryland. So we have to make our own or something.
Correct. The reason I'm bringing this up, and this is just best practice, is not cast in stone. If you have pre-printed barcode, you grab the item, put the code in the school district approved spot, and that's, I think, anybody catalog anytime. You put it If it's back cover, top right corner, vertical, closest to the spine. And if it's on the front cover, top left corner, closest to the spine. Isn't that right, Veronica?
That's right.
Yeah.
So when you're doing inventory, you only have to pull out an edge, scan it, and slide it back into place. That's why most people put it in the spots. So put the barcode in the district-approved spot, and you would scan it right off the book, like red barcode. Now, cheating, of course, I'm just going to click this green thing here and say, boop, there you go, I just scanned it. For you that don't have pre-printed barcodes, you would click this green button, but I usually say do it at the very end. Don't do this right at the beginning. So you have printed barcodes left on the book, scan it. If you're having L4U program print the barcodes for you, do this option last. But all of you folks, same boat. You now have this item in hand, and you have several different options. You can do original entry, open up the book, start counting by hand, typing the title, subtitle, authors, publishers, the Dewey, and the stuff and such. Have the subjects. Boring. Well, not boring. You get it right the first time, but quite a bit of time. So what we usually do is use something called check mark. So the way you use the check mark is you click in this little box here, scanner, and on the back of the cover there's a big label nowadays in all modern materials that says ISBN. And you scan that. Two, like check mark. A number of things will happen. In a perfect world, we will go to the Library of Congress and Amicus our own checkmark server here in Kelowna, and ultimately go to the National Library of Canada to get marked records. So what's happened is Amazon is brought it this way. The new version is coming out is imminent. In fact, the current version we have right now, you can set Amazon records and book covers if you join the Amazon affiliate program. There's no charge to do so, and there's more information. All you have to do is Google the Amazon affiliate program, and then you'll get this code and that you put into your preferences, and boom, you're good to go. You can hear something from the Library of Congress. They should know what they're talking about. And I've got a book cover. Well, I got something from Amazon. That's interesting. I must have a special thing. Anyways, even if you don't have Amazon, I don't want to go into a lot of the details. Amazon is great for a lot of customers. At least it gives them something. People who've cataloged for a long time won't use Amazon records anymore because there's too much work in cleaning them up. What way? The Amazon Fix is currently in the shipping version of L4U, and it gets better in the next version because it actually supports multiple book cover sources. Woo. Okay, that's why we have right here. You can see the Amazon. It says no, not applicable. Got no records here because I haven't signed up for the National Library of Canada, better known as Amicus. With all that being said, folks, L4U will bring down something based on what you scanned. And L4U will automatically assume that the people in Washington, D.C. will know what they're doing at the Library of Congress. So we pull that one down, even if we get other ones from other vendors. Right. So on this book, there's a space atlas. There's all this marked gibberish over here. For you, you look at this thing, and you got a book cover. That's the book cover. But if you didn't get a book cover, you would still ask yourself, is this the right item? That's why we summarize it right in this top line here. Title, author, publisher. Okay? Oh, there's publisher. Let's take a look in here. So, yes. So I can see this is an RDA record. It's okay. It'll still pull the publisher information in here. It doesn't have the publisher there. But what you're asking yourself, no, if you don't have a book cover, check to see if those 3 bits of information are correct. If they're correct, save yourself a lot of poking around in here because you can't do much else with it. Import it. Have it from wherever the source you selected, plop in the right spot. Now, you put on your, and just fiddle with what librarians would call is your local holdings. This stuff we dragged in is what's called the core bibliographic record. It's got the title, it's got the publisher, blah, 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 and all that stuff. But there's stuff that's specific to your school that you want to edit, such as the local call number. We'll talk about that one in just a sec. The cost of the item, and the control files. So look at this thing right now. I'm first going to talk about the call number. The call number is important because it becomes your spine label. So when you print your spine labels, this is what's going to print. L4U will break this on the space. So if this is the print right now, the top row would say 520.22/3. Next line would be TRE. That's okay for as far as the spine label is concerned, because this is nonfiction material. Now, that I've seen that will take that and run with it. What he's trying to do here is, as far as the local call number is concerned, is trying to help you out, speed up your catalog, taking whatever is in the Dewey field, check, and the cutter, check, and optionally what's in the loan type and plop it in here. So I know I could probably go in here, knowing that you can lop everything off to the right of the slash, including the slash, and then you can rebuild the local call number like this. So the R button, you rebuild the call number. The R rebuilds the cutter, and the cutter is based on the first three letters of the author's name, and no author, the first three letters of the title, so it helps you shelve the material. Now you'll notice something just went funky here in the call number, because now L4U's lopped or added a prefix of FIC. It's not fiction material, but L4U does optionally include the loan type. In the first profile I'll talk about, it's not a fiction loan type. Loan type does contain your circulation period, but it's also used to build the local call number. So from the drop-down list, if I select something like, well, for nonfiction would make sense, and click this button once again, it will rebuild the local call number to 1 + 2 + 3. Of course, I told L4U that I don't want the nonfiction to be added to the call number. There is my call number. That's a pretty constructed call number. But this is quite the atlas. This is a space atlas, so some people may want to put it in teacher reference section. So the TR for teacher reference, and if I click the R, it rebuilds the local call number. So I know where to shelve this item. And it will be TR, first line, 520.22, next line, TRE on the third line. One is to build a local call number, which becomes your spine label. So call number, check. Type, check. Media here, of course, this is not paperback. It's a hardcover, HCB for hardcover. Boom. Those are the two I want to talk about. The reason some people will spend time giving it the right media is, if your library is going to be part of a learning commons to help support the curriculum, teachers will be using it as well. It's nice to be able to let the teacher know that when they're looking at this item and placing a hold on it, they're placing a hold on the hardcover book, not the paperback book, or kit, and not the DVD. So the media type is important in that regards. If you're doing hand catalog, spend the extra second or two and give it the right media type. Department vendor, I'm not going to worry about right now. If it's parties, you can put a series in there. You level your materials, that goes in there. And the cost of the item. Well, if you don't have the PO of the item, you don't have the receipt item, one can always look on the inside cover, and it says it's $57 Canadian. So, and what libraries usually pay? Well, 50% is probably a good spot to start. So you could say, I'm going to say, oh, that's $5 cost, and it's going to be $57 replacement value. Now, you can do whatever you want for the replacement value. It's nice to have something on there to get the overdue notice, so that it makes it fall out of the tree that much faster. Your mind will vary. Scroll down. There's leveling. There's your subject. Boom, boom. Want to add a subject in here? You just click on the subject here, and you can just say, I don't know. This is going to be astronomy, and we have a double, and it is charts and diagrams. Oh, there's a drop-down list. I can just click Made Happiness. You know. And if to get rid of one of these things in here, because I think that's a totally silly subject in there. I don't know where that came from. There. And there you go. Because we generally spend the subject, there's that dash. So they're all funky, probably all perfectly legit subjects, and so on and so forth.
Mark?
Listen, that's what. Yep.
So great. Yes. All of that information was populated from on the very first tab that you showed us when you linked it with on, and it brought information in, except for those that did it on our own at the last bit.
One came in from the Library of Congress because it was the default tab, right? We
But the
did it from our
description
local server here. Yeah.
The subscription that we're looking at there, filled with lavish instructions, blah, 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 that all came in when you clicked on import from that service you subscribe to, or that Library of Congress service that you subscribe to.
Oh, good catch. This looks like an Amazon description, doesn't it? Bill's lavish administration. I've never seen someone in the Library of Congress mention that. Stuff is usually like very terse, 30 centimeters tall, and it's a book. Thank you, bye. And that's usually what they have as far as the descriptions. Then they have statement of responsibility in there, but that's it. I'm going to scroll down a little farther. No, it says Library of Congress. Wow.
Okay. So, but
Library of Congress, but there, yeah.
My point was, you didn't have to put any of that in. It all came.
So now, exactly, that is correct. That's all this stuff came in from the Library of Congress. So I just have to tweak those local holdings cost, whatever. I don't like the subject, whatever. If you wanted to add something to the description, that will show up in OPAC searches. And so you can put on here, you could say, that includes feature reference on EVE. So let's get that. Yeah. When I save this, this will actually show up in the description in the OPAC. This main piece is here. The controls, subjects, and description is usually what most librarians will look at to see if it's the right stuff. And the added entries, if you know what an added entry is, God bless, go for it. Info, model and serial number. That's great if you're cataloging Chromebooks or anything else that has a model and serial number on it. And then we don't have a book cover. So, oh right, I'm using an old client. So I don't have an active check mark subscription anyway. So, in a perfect world, and you have book covers coming in, sometimes down here is A missing. When it went to search results, what's the wrong book cover? Well, this will be active. You just say, click the search again for another book cover, and it will look based on the current ISBN, and it may come down with the right one, it may not. If it's not the right book cover, well, you can just say, delete this book cover and press on, next item. So when you catalog an item, quite often you have to scroll up and down, which is perfectly good because you have to check the IMO before you actually save it. If you want right back to the top of the screen, you'll notice each section here, as I mentioned in the client file, same thing here in acquisition. Click the link right back to the top of the page. Okay. So with this is cool. Now, this number here was actually the number that was in for the people who have their own barcodes. If you print the barcode for them, you create the barcode for you. What you do is when you get to the end, to this spot, and you don't have to make a duplicate, in other words, it may be a novel set, this last thing you do is click this button and get the next barcode. Put the book size of Rhode Island, boom, next item. Go in that box, keep going.
Look like when you press duplicate?
Oh, sorry, let's try, let's see, I'm going to get another one here for a novel set. Let me find my ISBN list here. Okay, so let's try another one. I will just in here, and we have, we'll take that one. That one. I'm going out to find this item here. So So a novel set or something along those lines. I have this one. I'll just click import. I'm not going to worry about it. And it is fiction. It is paperback, and I'm going to give it a cost of $5. And replacement with 10. And it's a fiction material. I'll take that out of there. Rebuild. Boom. So go. This item's good to go. Now I'm going to get the barcode. I'm printing my L4U barcode. At this point, the question on the floor was, duplicate. What am I have 10 of these items? Part of an L set, or 20? So I created one record. So with duplicate, I want 9 more if I have 10. First record looking good. You want to review the subject and all that sneakiness. And click L4U, how many extra copies you want, and then you'll end up with the proper copy number, the barcode is incremented, blah, blah. Good to go.
And if you have your own barcodes, you would just scan.
So in other words, if you had your own barcodes, yep, bingo, open up, and click this one spot here, scan. Next. Oh, because it used to highlight the field, so now you have to double click there. Okay, I'll report that to development. Next. Double click, scan, next, and so forth.
Yeah.
So, they're on the box, items on the desk, there's a shopping cart. If you have pre-printed barcodes, great, there already have the barcodes on them. But for the people who don't have pre-printed barcodes, they have to print not only the barcodes and the spine label. For people with pre-printed barcodes, they still have to do the spine label. So, without further ado, I want to click Select All Items. So, I only had time to actually catalog 11 items. Hang on a sec, where did they all go? Folks, I click Select Items. Did I want to print barcodes? In other words, all these items are sitting on the cart. All the items, I want codes and spine labels for them. Am I going to print 11? There's a clue. There's a catalog. There's only 10 records displayed. So if I click Select All Items, I'm only selecting 10 of the 11. This is the first time I used it. I went, oh, I forgot to print the other one on the next page. So what you do before a poster like that, per page, show all the items you want to deal with. Right? I only 10 records per page. There was 11 items. So now I click Select All Items. It's going to select all 11. Got all 10 copies of the 100-year-old man who closed the window in this spirit. So now I have to do labels. Labels. Oh, people love labels so much, don't we all? So, printed labels, you can ignore this part of the program. But for the people who need to print labels, L4U currently supports 3 by 10. 3 columns by 10. It's called address label. It's industry standard. You can get anywhere. You can even, I haven't seen them at the dollar store yet, by Brodar, Granite Toy. They all sell this format. And right here, there's a preview of it right at this spot here. And beyond the scope of our training today, you can modify how this content looks. Okay? But for this one I'm going to do right now, I'm going to say, that's great. So, items, I want to print 7 barcodes. All I need to do, select Create PDF. Click Download PDF, and then that actually, depending on your browser, sometimes browsers will open the PDF in your browser window. Here, it downloaded it. So I come to that spot, and there's my labels. I have to print out. And you put them on the right book. Good. Always. Next thing you want to do is your spine labels. Yes, I know anybody's been around programs, labels are persnickety. That's why we standardize on 3x10 for our address, not our address, for our material barcodes, as well as client barcodes, if you're going to use them at your 3-ring binder at your circ desk. Anyways, back to materials, they got barcodes on them. Let's do spine labels. So you notice right from the screen here, we have this option, spine labels.
Okay.
There you go. Now, L4U supports 8x7, 8x7 rows, and flip across by 10 rows. There is, if you have stock like that, great, you're good to go. There is a lot of fire labels. We have a technical note on this one. You'll want to take it up with your school, your district librarian, your L4U application specialist. If you have something different, we do a tech note on that. And it's challenging to get labels lined up if you have something like, let's say 8x10, or not 8x7, by 7x8, or 5, something that's different. Challenging. That's why we say stick with the stock that we have in there. So in this case, 8x, everything's centered. You can do 8x7 from this drop down. Everything's lined on the left edge. And then you just click Create PDF. You know, people still on plain paper, cut them out, and hold them in place with a little bit of sticky tack, and then put a label protector over them. Works great. And right down there. And there are the line spine labels. Labels. Labels are on the books. Labels are on the right books, I should say. So, one step. You have to post them for acquisitions to the library file. Nobody can see them in acquisitions except for you. So I'll go back to acquisitions. Check. There. Select in because they're all ready to go. So I click them all. All have a valid barcode. Yes, have arrived. So I post the items. They're going over to the library file. Selected on the sidebar, our post button. We click. The same questions I used to ask you since DLA before that. What do you want to do? Well, you're using the shelf today for the first time. You want to change the entry date to today's date. Check. And date all of them when they successfully posted over the library to the library file. The options are usually on by default because that's how most librarians have them set. And just click post. I'll view them up, say how you're going to post. You want to continue? You'd say yes. Posted 10 items, and we have one with a duplicate. Okay, we'll click close. One remaining. So I'm glad something like this happened. In your case, I can safely say this will never happen. Say, I'm from the government, and I'm here to help you. That was school humor there. So there you go. So we got a chuckle there. So in this case, what do we do with this one? Now, if you pre-printed barcodes, this won't happen. But this number is in use in the library file. So what you have to do is open it up, give it a new barcode, and repost it. I'll show you. Oh, we have to reprint the barcode, wouldn't we? Yeah, reprint barcode, done. And away we go. So now you can see right here it says that one went over before it had the session number, duplicate a session number. Acquisitions table is empty, and they were to the library file. Any questions on acquisitions?
Just when I'll have to reprint the barcode, where did you go to reprint that?
There's an item here. I would have selected it. And PDF labels.
Okay.
And print another barcode from there.
Okay.
So now, where did they go? Well, for people to L4U in the past, they know it's gone over to the library file up here in the top right corner. The library file is what L4U thinks is on your shelf. On the other L4U page, you got all these various controls at the top of the screen. You can search. You can move how many records per page. Set to 50. You can change. You can jump directly to pages, clear all selections, etc., etc. And if you want to look for something you just posted, so you can go into here and say, I know 100-year, that's close to 100-year-old man. Good. Let's go. We're going to talk about this one in just a sec. Why word? Okay. So items. So what I'm going to do is like, oh, I just searched for something, couldn't find it. How do I get my list of items back? There's a button. And it brings your list, first 50 items in the list. So I double click on any item in here. I can open it up, look at it. I can jump to different parts of the records. If I go down, look at the book cover, use the top navigation link at the top of the record to quickly do that part of the page. I want to go to subjects. I can go to there, click here. This point that a lot of people don't know about those quick navigation links saves a lot of wear and tear on your fingers. Cancel. Oh. A person up to teacher says, I understand, Vernon, you got this new fancy pants L4U. I'm trying to find something. I went to the shelf and couldn't find it. In fact, sometimes it comes like this. You know, before you did this change to this library around, there was a big blue book over there. It was hardcover. Do you know where it went? I think that happened. You go Karnak. We'll try and figure it out. So let's talk about a few searches. Here, we have a whole pile of fields we can search on. First, an idea of the title. We can search by title. I tend to search by keywords. Let me talk about keywords for a sec. If you click in this field, this spot here, and start typing, you will break down what you're searching on and try and figure out what you're searching for. Away from this, when you're doing key searches, keep it simple. I'm just going to and go Black Beauty. So you're asking L4U to find all the materials that have black and beauty somewhere in the keyword pile. And they're built on your title, subtitle, series, description. And there's like 6 really important fields inside of L4U. Keywords are automatically built. Shotgun approach searching. Keep it simple. Magnifying glass, and I can't remember we do have Black Beauty in this high school. There they are. And something like horse or horse. I usually I don't add suffixes to my simple searches. And we're going to get a bucket of horses back. So in your collection, you'll probably have a lot more, especially in the younger grades. So all the items that have horse in the keywords. So it could be the title, could be the subject, could be the description, anywhere in these ones. Open this one up, and it's going to be down in the description. So keyword search. Keep it simple. Those items in the title. Those items have to be somewhere in all those return records. Title. Title. And with something like Black Beauty. So if I type Black Beauty, it's going to be a title that contains black or beauty in the title. That's pretty cool. What happened when I looked for the 100-year-old man? I went 100 years, and I clicked search. Wait, didn't I catalog a bunch of 100-year-old men? Whoops. Yes. Are really fast at being dumb. It's 100, 100 hyphen year hyphen old, right? So remember, I always tell people, keep your searches simple, and you'll find more hits. And that, if you ever watch fellow adults or even younger patrons search to type the whole word, the whole title in with contractions and spelling errors, and then the thing will just throw its hands up and say, I don't know what you're talking about. So, title and subject are a contained search. So the keywords. Folks, starts with search. You can write that one down. Checking all the searches in L4U library. This is not the OPAC. This is the names you see, not the OPAC. Most searches are starts with. I'll do something silly here. For instance, if I type in something here called 5.2 and click on it, find all the materials in my collection that start with 5.2. In fact, L4U's kind enough to show that field you're searching on, because it wasn't there to begin with. See over here? So, finding out that almost all the searches are starts with. So, all the most starts with, unless you tell otherwise, you can write down and take it to the bank. In the library file, title and subjects are a contained search, and keywords are brought yet. We want to mention about the, unless you tell it otherwise, you tell it otherwise. So I typed in 5.2, but if I type this, fine, what I'm searching on, it changes the search from a starts with to a contains. So the L4U wildcard character is the @ sign. This allows you to broaden your search within a specific field. So in other words, I'm just telling L4U to find all the Deweys that contain 52. Doesn't make any sense, but I just wanted to point that out. It comes handy at the circulation screens when you're actually trying to place holds on titles. Okay, so what I did there was, you can see all the Deweys contain 52. So by they're all starts with search, I'll tell it otherwise. This is when you're in the client file and you try to find all the home rooms that contain admin, or all the home rooms that contain Smith, home room names that contain, along those lines. To search, unless you the @ sign to change it to a contains. Sometimes you can't find it because you're not exactly sure how it's spelled. So you can say, yeah, whatever field I'm looking on contains these couple or 2, 3 characters. You can find the stuff you're looking for instead of pulling your hair out. And that's left. So that's a library file. Well, how different from the OPAC? Now, I know some of your schools didn't have a search station before. Some now may have search stations for the school year, but before. Another training session, I may be repeating myself, but the OPAC search screens is what a lot of patrons will use to search your collection. And all being Googleized. Someone comes up to a search screen, they go, oh, it's a Google search. So I'll type in blah, 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 and hit the enter key. And when that occurs, so I type something like blah, beauty, and just the key, it's doing the thing, as a keyword search. And the keyword search is a little smarter here. I'm not going to go into a lot of details, but if I type Black Beauty and hit the Enter key or click the keyword button, like so, L4U is going to do a search. First, it tries to find the title that is just Black Beauty. It's a little smarter than the keyword search in the library file. If it finds one, it puts it right up there. And that's doing some magic behind the scenes. If it didn't find anything like a title or anything like that, then it starts trying to do some magic with those words you typed in the keyword thing, where black occurs in the title and the subject, and it's in the documentation how L4U performs these searches. But suffice to say, L4U is best at fit what the end user's typing and some search results. That was real simple, but if you around some people before when they're searching, they would go in here, hook, straws, could, work, and then they'll search, and they're going to try and something here. L4U's tried its best. Didn't know what a hook straw was, so threw it out. It says, well, I don't know, I'm going to search for collect keywords. Okay. Down the search, like reduce it, make it a little simpler, or it'll tell me items is found. Or did you spell it like this? Of course, it raises the patron's hopes to find something, and well, there you go. It's, I can't find anything. So that screens work. There, in some of you folks, actually have something called the top 10. Well, you have the top 10 authors, top 10 subjects, top 10 items, top series. That's a great way for patrons to noodle to the collection. Right now, I just actually have the new items listed. Oh, new item, we'll take a look at that. Click on there. And then, of course, you've got other links in here that allow you to noodle through the collection based on similar subject materials, the other books by the authors, and you can place holds if you want to have place holds on there. I know most 8A environments do not do holds now, but there's a stuff that you may or may not be able to do here based on what you've given the users.